You are watching right now, and I need you to stop whatever you are doing. I mean it. Put down your phone, pause the video, look at someone near you and say, "This is the moment." Because what you are about to watch is not just a talent show audition. What you are about to witness is one of those rare, God-given moments that television was invented for. And I say that as someone who has sat behind this desk for over 20 years. I have seen thousands of auditions. I have watched people sing, dance, cry, fall apart, rise up, and everything in between. I have heard voices that shook the room and voices that shook my soul, but nothing, absolutely nothing, prepared me for the afternoon. A Filipino man in his 60s walked onto the stage of Britain's Got Talent and proceeded to rearrange every single idea I had about what a human being is capable of. His name is Gary Valenciano, and if you do not know that name yet, you will never forget it after today. Now, before I tell you what happened, I want you to understand something. I want you to understand the weight of what this man carried onto that stage, because this is not just a story about singing. This is not just a story about talent. This is a story about survival. This is a story about a man who faced death, literal, medical, documented death, and decided that his answer to death was going to be a song. Gary Valenciano has been battling type 1 diabetes for decades. He has had heart surgery. He has faced complications that would have ended most careers, broken most spirits, and silenced most voices forever. And yet, here he was, standing in front of thousands of people in London, standing in front of Simon Cowell, standing in front of the cameras of one of the most watched television shows on the planet, not asking for sympathy, not performing for pity, performing because performance is what he breathes. Performing because for Gary Valenciano, the stage is not a place he goes to. The stage is a place he lives. And the moment he opened his mouth, I'm telling you, the entire United Kingdom went silent. I have to describe this to you properly because if I do not, you will not believe me. The auditorium at Britain's Got Talent holds thousands of people. It is enormous. It is loud before the act comes on. There is energy. There is anticipation. There is noise. The kind of noise you only get when thousands of strangers come together in one place hoping to be amazed. And when Gary walked out, people were polite. They clapped, they smiled. And I am going to be completely transparent with you. There were people in that crowd who looked at this man, this Filipino man, this older gentleman, and they thought to themselves, this will be nice. They thought to themselves, let's see what he has. They were prepared to be pleasant. They were not prepared to be destroyed, because that is the only word for it. What Gary Valenciano did to that room was destruction. Beautiful, breathtaking, total destruction. He stood there, just a man and a microphone. No dancers, no elaborate staging, no pyrotechnics, no gimmicks. Just a man who has given his entire life to music, standing in the middle of a stage, and when the music began, when those first notes filled the air, something happened that I can only describe as a shift, a physical shift in the atmosphere of the building. The kind of thing you feel in your chest before you understand it with your brain. The kind of thing that makes every single hair on your body stand up at exactly the same time. The kind of thing that makes you grab the hand of the person sitting next to you without even thinking about it. And then he sang, and the world stopped. Now I'm going to talk to you about Simon Cowell for a moment, because Simon Cowell is the standard. Simon Cowell is the benchmark. Simon Cowell is the man who has told more people no than anyone else in the history of popular entertainment. He does not cry easily. He does not stand easily. He does not lose his composure easily. Simon Cowell has been behind that desk through every kind of audition imaginable. He has kept his cool through things that made every other judge weep. He has maintained his expression through performances that brought the entire audience to their feet. He is a professional. He is controlled. He is, and I say this with enormous respect, a man who has seen everything. And Gary Valenciano made Simon Cowell react like he had never seen anything before in his life. The moment it happened, the moment Gary hit that note, that specific note in the middle of the performance, the note that seemed to come from somewhere outside the physical realm, somewhere deeper and higher and more real than ordinary music, Simon's jaw dropped, not metaphorically, literally. His mouth opened, his eyes went wide. He sat back in his chair like someone had physically pushed him, and then he looked at the other judges, and the other judges were already standing, already crying, already clapping. And Simon Cowell, the man who invented the golden buzzer standard, the man who created the culture of this show, this man stood up, slowly, like a man who cannot quite believe what his own body is doing. And he clapped, and he clapped, and the audience was already on its feet and screaming, and the sound in that building was unlike anything that stage had heard. Because here's the thing about Gary Valenciano that you need to understand. Here's the thing that separates what he does from what almost anyone else on this earth does when they perform. Gary does not sing at you. Gary does not perform for you. Gary enters you. He gets inside the room of your emotions and he rearranges all the furniture. He moves things that you did not even know were there. He finds the parts of your heart that you have locked away. The grief, the hope, the love, the fear, the gratitude, the longing. And he unlocks every single door. He does not do this with technique alone, though his technique is extraordinary. He does not do this with power alone, though his power is undeniable. He does this because every single thing he has ever lived through is in every single note he sings. His diabetes is in there. His heart surgery is in there. His faith is in there. His family is in there. The Philippines is in there. Every concert, every prayer, every moment he was told he might not make it, all of it is in there. And when that much real life is contained inside a voice, that voice does not just sing. That voice speaks directly to the human soul. And the human souls in that auditorium heard it loud and clear. Now I want to speak to you, my friend who is watching this right now. I want to speak to you directly because this story is not just about Gary Valenciano. This story is about you. This story is about every single person who has ever felt like the world has moved on without them. Every person who has felt like their best days are behind them. Every person who has been told by a doctor, by a circumstance, by their own internal voice, that maybe it is time to stop. Maybe it is time to be quiet. Maybe the stage is for younger people, healthier people, people with fewer scars and less history. Gary Valenciano is the answer to that voice. Gary Valenciano is the living, breathing, singing, dancing refutation of the idea that life diminishes you. Because here is what Gary understood, and what I want you to understand too. The things that break you are also the things that make you. Every scar is a song. Every hospital room is a rehearsal. Every moment you survive something that should have ended you is another verse in the greatest performance of your life. And the performance is not over. The performance is never over until you decide it is. And Gary Valenciano has always decided that it is not over. He has been performing since he was a teenager in the Philippines. He has sold out arenas. He has recorded dozens of albums. He has collaborated with some of the greatest artists in the world. He is not a newcomer. He is not someone who needed validation from a British television show, but he came anyway. He stepped onto that stage anyway, not because he needed to prove something to Simon Cowell. He came because the world needed to see what a man looks like when he is chosen every single day of his life to give his gift, no matter the cost, no matter the condition of his body, no matter the obstacles, no matter the doubt. And when he stepped off that stage, when the music ended and the applause continued and continued and continued, and Simon was standing and Amanda Holden was in tears and the entire audience was on their feet like a single living organism responding to something ancient and true, in that moment, Gary Valenciano was not a Filipino singer in London. He was every underdog who ever dared to believe. He was every patient who ever got up from a hospital bed and returned to their purpose. He was every person who has ever had their ability questioned and answered that question with the most powerful yes that has ever been expressed in song. Let me tell you something about the Filipino spirit, because if you are watching this and you are Filipino, you already know what I am about to say. And if you are not Filipino, then I am about to give you one of the greatest gifts of cultural understanding that I can offer. The Philippines is a nation of warriors who sing. They have faced typhoons and colonization and poverty and corruption and natural disaster and emerged from every single one of those things, not bitter, not broken, but performing. There is something inside the Filipino heart that simply refuses to be defeated, something that transforms suffering into music, something that takes the hardest things, the most painful things, and makes them beautiful. And Gary Valenciano is the ultimate expression of that spirit. He is the Philippines distilled. He is what happens when an entire culture's resilience lives inside one human voice. And Britain heard it. Simon Cowell heard it. The world is hearing it now. Now here is what I need you to do. And I say this not as a television presenter, not as a commentator, not as someone trying to get you to watch something. I say this as a human being talking to another human being. I need you to look at Gary Valenciano's story and ask yourself what excuse you have been using. What have you been telling yourself about why now is not the right time? What have you been telling yourself about why your condition, your age, your history, your setbacks, your failures, your health, your fear, any of it makes you less deserving of the stage? Because if Gary Valenciano can stand in front of Simon Cowell after everything his body has been through, after everything his career has survived, after everything the world has thrown at him, and not only stand there, but dominate, not only perform, but transform, then what is stopping you? I will tell you what is stopping you. Nothing that cannot be moved. That is the message. That is what this moment on Britain's Got Talent was really about. Yes, it was entertainment. Yes, it was extraordinary singing. Yes, it was one of the most jaw-dropping auditions that show has ever broadcast. But underneath all of that, underneath the golden buzzer fantasy and the tears and the standing ovation and Simon Cowell's dropped jaw, underneath all of that was a lesson delivered by a man from Pasay City in the Philippines to every single person in the world who has ever been told they are not enough. You are enough. Your story is enough. Your voice is enough. And it is absolutely never too late to let the world hear it. When the performance ended, when the noise finally began to settle, when the judges began to speak, Simon Cowell did something very rare. He did not immediately reach for his critique. He did not immediately begin the assessment. He sat for a moment in silence. In silence. Simon Cowell, in silence. And then he said, and I want you to feel the weight of this, coming from a man who does not easily give weight to things. He said that what he had just witnessed was something genuinely special. Not television special, not talent show special, genuinely, humanly, historically special. And he was right. Because what Gary Valenciano brought to that stage was not an audition. It was a testimony. A testimony to the power of persistence. A testimony to the power of faith. And Gary has spoken openly about his faith, about how his relationship with God is inseparable from his music, inseparable from his survival, inseparable from every note he has ever sung. This was not a man performing for fame. This was a man performing out of an overflow. When you have been to the edge and come back, when you have looked at your own mortality and decided to keep singing, what comes out of you is not a performance. What comes out of you is the truth. And truth, when it is delivered with that much skill and that much soul and that much love, is the most powerful force on any stage in the world. Britain felt it. We all felt it. And the world will keep feeling it, because this is the kind of moment that does not fade. This is the kind of moment that people will show their children and their grandchildren. This is the kind of moment that gets talked about at dinner tables in Manila and in Madrid and in Miami. This is the kind of moment that crosses every language and every culture and every generation, because it speaks in the only universal language there is, the language of a human being who has been through fire and come out the other side still singing, still dancing, still giving everything they have every single time. Gary Valenciano walked onto a stage in London and reminded the entire world what it means to be alive, what it means to fight, what it means to serve your gift rather than protect it, what it means to stand up even when your body has given you 1,000 reasons to sit down, and say with every fiber of everything you are, I am still here. I still have something to give, and I am going to give it, all of it, right now, for you. And the crowd roared, and Simon stood, and the music played, and a man from the Philippines showed the world that greatness has no expiration date. Remember the name. Tell everyone you know. Gary Valenciano, Britain's Got Talent. The audition that shocked Simon Cowell and changed everything. And the next time someone tells you it is too late, the next time the voice inside your head tries to convince you that your moment has passed, I want you to remember this man on this stage, in this moment, giving everything he has. And I want you to smile. And I want you to take one step forward, because your stage is waiting, your moment is waiting, and the world, just like that audience in London, is ready to be amazed by you. That is the story. That is the miracle. That is Gary Valenciano on Britain's Got Talent. And that is why, even after everything I have seen in this business, I still believe, I genuinely, completely still believe, that the most powerful